All right, let's dive in. Today, we're taking a trip to West Africa to explore Lagos, one of the fastest-growing megacities on the entire planet. It's just this incredible powerhouse of culture, commerce, and, frankly, immense human potential. So, you gotta ask, right? What's the secret sauce? What is it about a place like Lagos that just pulls millions and millions of people in, all looking for a new life? Well, that's the big question we're gonna unpack in this explainer. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the social side of things, the essential services and resources that just make life better. Then, we're going to get into the money, the big industries, and also that bustling street-level economy. And to wrap it all up, we'll see how it all connects through a really cool idea called the multiplier effect. Ready? Let's get into it. First things first, let's talk about the absolute fundamentals. For so many people, the decision to pack up and move to a massive city like Lagos really boils down to getting access to basic services that can completely change a family's future. And just look at this comparison, it's pretty stark, isn't it? When you put healthcare in Lagos up against what's available in many rural areas, well, there's just no contest. In the city, you've got way more access to doctors, clinics, and hospitals. And for a family, that's not just some abstract benefit, it's absolutely life-changing. And it's the exact same story when you look at education. The state government provides 9 years of basic schooling for every kid. But here's the thing, it doesn't stop there. Lagos is home to over 10 universities, plus a ton of training colleges. So you've got this entire educational ladder, from childhood all the way up. That is a huge pull factor for anyone wanting to get ahead. Okay, so great schools and hospitals, super important. But that's just the beginning. For a city to really function, it needs power, and I mean that literally. So now let's talk about the resources that fuel daily life in Lagos, things like water and energy. Getting water in Lagos is, well, it's a bit of a mixed bag. You've got the official Lagos Water Corporation, which says it supplies over 12 million people. That's massive. But the reality is, a lot of folks rely on public taps, or they dig their own wells, or even buy water from vendors. It really shows you two things at once: the huge scale of the system they have, and the incredible challenge of providing for a city that just keeps on growing. And then there's energy. This chart perfectly illustrates the city's ambition. There's this big project called Future-Proofing Lagos, and the goal is to take electricity access from where it is now, at around 60%, and push it all the way to 100%. That is a huge leap. But of course, there's the goal, and then there's the reality on the ground. Power cuts are common, which means something like 80% of the population has to rely on diesel generators. And what does that lead to? Yep, a pretty significant air pollution problem for the city. Okay, so we've covered the social side. Now let's switch gears and look at the economic engine of Lagos. We're talking about the massive industrial areas that are the primary drivers behind all the jobs and all the growth. So Lagos has a few major economic hubs. You've got the Port of Lagos, absolutely vital for trade. Then there's the AQA Industrial Estate, a huge center for manufacturing. You've also got the Lekki Free Zone, which is all about attracting international investment. And, of course, the airport, the city's main connection to the rest of the world. And just to give you a sense of the sheer scale we're talking about, let's look at that airport. In 2015 alone, over 7 million passengers passed through it. 7 million. That's a staggering number of people. And here's why that number really matters so much. It shows that Lagos isn't just a hub for Nigeria. No way. It's the main entry point for 80% of all flights into West Africa. Its economic influence reaches way, way beyond the city itself. But it's not all about the giant ports and factories. There's a whole other side to the economy that's just as vital. This is the economy of the street, all the work that happens outside of official contracts. And honestly, it's the real heartbeat of the city. So what exactly is the informal economy? It's pretty simple, really. It's all the work that's not officially on the books, not taxed, not monitored by the government. And for millions of people, this isn't just a job, it's a critical lifeline. Now, check out this chart, because it tells a really interesting story. Officially, the unemployment rate looks pretty low, right? Just under 10%. But here's the catch. A huge, huge portion of that 90% of people who are employed, they're working in this informal sector. And what kind of jobs are we talking about? Well, it could be anything, really. Shining shoes, collecting and recycling waste materials from across the city, vending food and goods on the street. You see it everywhere you look. These jobs provide essential services and an income for millions.
Okay, so we've got the social opportunities pulling people in and the economic engines creating jobs. But how does it all connect and feed off itself to create this kind of explosive growth? Well, the answer is a powerful concept called the multiplier effect.
Think of the multiplier effect like a positive feedback loop. When a new job or a new industry is created, the story doesn't end there. That new economic activity creates demand for other goods and services, and that sparks even more growth.
And here's exactly how that cycle works. Let's say a new factory opens, creating jobs. Well, those new workers need to buy food, find housing, get around. This creates more demand for shops, construction, transport, which in turn creates even more jobs. One opportunity multiplies into many. So ultimately, the people themselves become the engine. The population that's drawn to Legos for work also creates the market that demands more workers. It becomes this powerful self-reinforcing cycle of opportunity.
Which leaves us with one final massive question. Logos is clearly a city of incredible opportunity. But as it keeps growing at this staggering pace, the great challenge will be to make sure that growth is sustainable and that its benefits can be shared by all of its millions of citizens. Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.